Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up loud. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
The audience. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Now you're a man, a man. Now you're a man, a man. You are now a man, you're a man. Now you're a man.
Live it. Oh, there's a song from back in the day. Reese on the radio. Right here live on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. Oh, we got that echo coming back. That's okay. We'll figure it out over here. It pops in, it pops out, whatever the case may be. We got plenty of news, plenty of views. We got guests today. Mark Fitch, Alex Appel are going to be on the program today talking about their article that came out on Sunday involving the Solomon Schechter School. Again, Mark Fitch, again, knocking it out of the park, doing the stories that mainstream media won't bother to do. He did it. He and Alex did an incredible job covering the story of Solomon Schechter, better than I could have, better than Mark and West Hartford. It was extended. Even gave some of the history behind Solomon Schechter. And we'll get their reaction on and the reception. We'll talk about a lot more because this appears to be a trend going on in Connecticut. And it is scary that it's happening now. And there hasn't been attention. But we'll ask Mark and Alex about what I believe is the growing trend in Connecticut, and as reporters, if they're seeing it or getting some sense of that happening. So stay tuned for that. Why did I play that first song? Now You're a Man. I got all of these alerts from the New York Times, which I don't usually pay attention to. When I get these alerts, I go, it's the New York Times. I refuse to jump into the fray of the news media that starts reporting on stories in the New York Times. I'm not that guy. Let the elites, the highbrow, escargot eating, very important people, let them do that. That's not me. I'm ground level. But this one I had to take notice of. Apparently, the New York Times got a hold of this initiative by the Democrat Party. They are spending $20 million to reach a demographic that they have lost overwhelmingly. And that's men. Here was Dana Bash from CNN talking about that. Apparently, she's a friend of the person who wrote the article, who obtained this memo about the $20 million they're going to spend. It went like this.
Here's something from the New York Times. This is written by our friend of the show, Shane Goldmacher. The prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times aims to reverse the erosion of Democratic support among young men, especially online. It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, and promises investments to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and the virility in these spaces. It recommends buying advertisements in video games, among other things. So you're the man here. I will not.
I'm not going to go into all that other nonsense. So what the initiative is for the Democrat Party is they're going to study men like a bunch of lab rats. And this initiative is called SAM, which stands for Speaking with American Men. Now, I noticed something that probably a lot of people didn't. All of the highbrow, looking down their nose elites probably list something very indicative of the Democrat Party. And that's the name of this initiative, SAM. Did anybody notice that Sam is a unisex name? Yeah, Sam. It's what a lot of girls call themselves named Samantha. So even in an initiative to understand men, they grabbed the most unisex name as its initiative, Sam. As soon as I saw it, I went, guys, we call girls Sam all the time. I knew a lot of girls named Samantha we called Sam. We just did. It's not really a masculine name. Perhaps John, Jack even. No, they went with Sam, which shows exactly how out of touch these folks are. This is the reason why they have to do a study on men and put advertising in video games. Which video games were they planning on putting this on? Maybe Call of Duty? Now, obviously, they don't know any real men. They have no idea what a real man looks like. And if they did, they hate it. When it comes to men, liberals hate them. I mean, don't they? They've spent a hell of a lot of time and effort in destroying men. They label masculinity as toxic. They undermined traditional gender roles. They blame men as an entire group for societal issues. They dismiss the fact that men even have issues. There's a continual cultural shaming in media and social media. And the one true nature of man that they go after is conservatism within men. By the way, by all measures, every shape and size, no matter what demographic they're in, black, white, Latino, Asian, real men tend to be conservative. They just tend to be. And they've attacked that overall. And now they wish to study it, and their interest in it is so they don't lose elections. There's no real interest in men's issues. How could they? If the Democrat Party wants to attract men, this is what it's going to have to do. No. Don't get me wrong. It's not the usual bag. This is something different. Here's what the Democrat Party can do in order to engage men. Convince them that they need the welfare state. That's the only way you're going to win them. Convince them they cannot be left to their own devices, that a work ethic, a sense to take care of, if not protect their family, is no longer masculine. Convince men to ignore what is innate in them. Courting women. Tell them that, hey, if you can't hook up with the girl of your dreams, perhaps a man of your dreams. That's how you're going to have to get. I mean, do you really think the Democrat Party is going to lean itself or lend itself to the ideas of masculinity in order to court masculine men? No. The only way that they've ever done anything is to get one side to agree with them. That's what they've done. They have beaten men down, watered them down, told them it was no longer cool to be a man and to be more feminine. You're now suggesting to me that this new program is courting men, is they're going to court men by convincing them or convincing themselves that they can be more like conservative men, that they can be more like masculine men? That's never been a Democrat rule. What did we say after the election right here on this program? What did we say what Democrats had to do in order for them to win another election? They had to be more like us. Because being more like them lost them the election. People left them in droves. Young men, young Latino, young black, young Asian. Sure, they kept college-educated women. That's their core base. What are they going to do now? Reject those women, those overwhelming numbers of feminists in order to court men, what would the feminist women do once they found out that Democrats were trying to court masculine men? Well, they do what women always do. They'll feign outrage, scream and holler, and then they don't show up to vote. They will then realize that they're being abandoned by the Democrat Party for what? For votes, that they don't really care about their issues. So they're going to have to walk down a very, very thin line. It's a razor's edge. How do we convince college female feminists that we're not going backwards and courting Neanderthal, ape-like, slope-headed men? How do you do it? They can't. This stupid campaign of $20 million is going to be wasted. They're never going to figure out men. They hate them. I mean, they do, folks. They do. Have you seen the recent polling data? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Kamala Harris lead the roost for Democrats. They're the top two candidates for 2028. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Kamala Harris. Men in the Democrat Party are useless. They are. And who's going to be in charge? Who are the masculine men inside this think tank who are going to engage with real men? Oh, no, I apologize. They're not engaging. They're just studying. They're going to hover on the outside. Maybe they'll hang outside of bars. Maybe at sporting events, asking them questions after the baseball or football game, trying to figure out what they like. Hey, sir, how many beers did you have today? Do you like lagers or pale ales? Is that what they're going to do? Is that what they're expected to do? I want to know what this study is like. I'd like to be a part of one of these studies. I'd like to be right in the middle of it and figure out exactly what they are studying. The type of books we read, the places where we go to hang out. Maybe they'll take a couple of MMA classes. The other thing I heard one day, that they were going to figure out if there was a liberal Joe Rogan and then prop that guy up. A liberal version of Joe Rogan. What would that look like? Let me think what that would look like. That would look like a man with a beard and a dress. Well, he has to wear a dress. He has to. That's the thing now. Have you been to some of these cities? I've gone all over the country in the last two years. Every time I go to the mall, there's a bearded man in a dress. Just is. It's the new look. Not sure exactly what it's about, but that's the thing. That's what they call liberal masculinity. A little weird for me, but okay. I mean, I saw this guy in a baby doll dress with a beard. He had his hair in pigtails. I'm not kidding. Can you imagine seeing that at your mall? I'm sure you've seen that in the mall. By the way, if you have, tell me which mall. I'll avoid it like the plague. But they're everywhere. This is what they consider masculine. Anyway, back to the liberal Joe Rogan. What kind of sport would he be into? Chess? Oh, it would be the wonderful world of Minecraft. That's what it would be. Minecraft championships. By the way, I never understand you kids when you play that game. I'll never understand it. That's just me. I don't understand. I'm not figuring it out. I'm a guy. I don't even play video games, to be honest with you. I played Madden for a lot of years, but I'll never go back. Just not going to do it. $20 million to study men. Not talk to them, not visit them, not engage in a conversation, probably because they wouldn't know what to talk about. So, what's new in drywall? That's what I expect these people to say. That's what I would expect from these people. Who's conducting the study? Who are these groups? Have you seen some of the people who are in these these liberal think tanks, these thought leaders, have you seen any of them? The biggest names in the Democrat Party when it comes to men, folks, are all gay. They are. And if they're not gay, they're suspicious. They are. Beto O'Rourke, manly, suspicious. I go suspicious. Pete Buttigieg, gay, we know. Tim Walz, married, jazz hands. Ambiguous. Who else they got? Well, we got Gordon Gekko. That's Gavin Newsom. I mean, he's probably straight, but not manly. Not manly. He looks like a guy who shaves his chest. You know he does. You know he does. Clearly manscapes, just that kind of guy. He's probably one of the first guys to buy Axe. Who are some of the other men in the party? Bernie Sanders? Clearly not gay, but not masculine, if you get my meaning. Oh, and dare I forget about my favorite, my best friend, who was having so many issues with coming across like a guy. He grew a beard, an actual beard. And that's Christopher Murphy. God bless him. Rama says they had a liberal Joe Rogan. It was Joe Rogan. They sure did. And they lost him too. So there's no one who's going to be running, as far as men are concerned, to the Democrat Party. What they stand for is femininity. What they stand for is LGBTQIA plus issues. They don't stand for anything men. They don't believe that men should be the providers for their families. They don't believe that men should be in charge of anything. They believe that masculinity is toxic. They have no interest in what men have to say. They think that is backwards thinking. And as a party who believes that they are not only progressive, but they are forward thinking and the smartest people in the room, I might add, the smartest people in the room, that in order for you to be the smartest person in the room, you have to reject men. And now the only reason why they're going to turn around and come back and try to grab us is because they're losing elections. When I grew up, the one thing that men could do was check inauthenticity in a heartbeat. They can see it when somebody is fake and phony. And the fact that the New York Times had to put an article to say, Democrats are going to court men by studying them, is going to be a wasted $20 million. I'd stop the project already. Knock it off. Your courtship of men is over. And you're going to lose more and more. When we come back, more news, more views. The stupidest thing I read today. And again, we've got Mark Fitch and Alex Appel from Connecticut Inside Investigators to talk about Solomon Schechter School. So stick around with that and much, much more, plus your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
Just to make sure we get some housekeeping in order, remember, folks, even though you can watch the show on Facebook and on Rumble, if you want to chat, you got to go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. There's a chat room that's available for you on the site. Go directly there, and I can get everybody's comments. You can watch it on there. You don't have to go to your Facebook page or any of that good stuff. You can go there for alerts and all that good stuff. But to watch the show, you can now go to reeseontheradio.com. The new and improved reeseontheradio.com, I might add. A lot of change-ups, designs, more stuff coming, of course. I'm going to be doing a little more blogging on there, a little more content on reeseontheradio.com because it's important that I do. I want to keep this, keep the site as fresh and new as possible. And I do it all myself, so, I don't pay for a staff. It would be meaningless if I do. I try to see the comments in Facebook because they're all over here, and I want to read a couple while you're here. Eric is in the Reese on the Radio page, And Eric says, you plan on joining the girls' shot put team? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Men are simple creatures. We like to get our hands dirty. We like to be respected. We like to eat. We like boobies. End of study. Which, look, I totally get that. It's as simple as that. Like, this isn't, you don't need $20 million to study men. Like, no matter where you go, no matter where you've ever been, I like comedians. I'm a big comedian fan. And what's a comedian's job to do? Make observations of the most, obvious things and make them funny. Right? And sometimes to exaggerate them, but it's to point out those little observations that we may miss. And what Eric just says there is so simple. You can figure out a guy. Every woman in the world knows how to figure out a guy. And when comedians talk about it, even female comedians talk about it. By the way, I love when a female comic talks about their relationship with men, and their thesis is always about how simple we are, because it's never done in an insulting way. A real woman who understands men knows that simplicity should make it easy for a woman to deal with him. You know what I mean? It's like, it's real simple. This is not a slight, women, but you know it to be true. I don't have to tell you, you know it. Women complicate things because they're cerebral, right? It's like the slightest thing that a guy can say can turn into a million bad things. It just does. If my wife says to me, did you like dinner? And I say, yeah, it was good. That in and of itself means she failed. And she goes, it was just good? And my response to it is, again, because I'm trying to figure it out, should I have used another word, or should I have called it spectacular? Should I have said something? Should I have used other adjectives? Like, what should I have done? But again, it's, as my wife likes to say, it's about tone. The tone means a million things. Where I'm just going, I just said it was good. And when I hear female comedians talk about that, I'm often impressed that they figured it out. And I immediately make my wife listen to it. See, listen to this. This is simple. So for the New York Times to say, I'm going to put 20 million, well, not New York Times didn't, I'm sorry. The Democrat Party says they're going to put $20 million together to figure out what men like or what appeals to them. Sounds like they've spent a lot of years either disassociating with them or forgetting that they exist at all. And they have to double back and figure out, hey, what do men like? What are they watching now? What's the big thing in men? Yeah, I phrased that poorly. I do. I phrased that poorly.
Pause.
As a guy, I heard that immediately after I said it. I went, nope, that came out wrong.
What all the kids in New York say? Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. Yeah, I knew that right off the bat. Anyway, let me start over. This is real. It's not rocket science. It isn't. And I'm not even the kind of guy, I'm not the kind of guy that says I've figured men out. I'm a guy, and it's hard for me to figure myself out sometimes. I remember my favorite thing, I don't know if any husbands out there do this. Have you ever asked your wife, hey, honey, do I like this? I do that all the time. Oh, do I do that? Now, I know, Roland, you've never, ever done that. You know what you like and what you don't like, right? Like, you can figure that out in a heartbeat. You don't have to ask anybody. You're pretty set in what your thing is, whatever that thing is. Like, you've never had to ask your wife, hey, sweetie, do I like chickpeas? Like, you never.
Oh, no.
You never had to say anything like that, right? Okay.
No.
I do. I have no idea what I like. I don't.
It's
no,
you. Though.
No, I don't know, but that's my thing, is that I will ask my wife in a heartbeat. I remember one day we were in the supermarket, and she was like, you know what, go over there. I'm going to be here for a while. She'll be in like the homeopathic, whatever that stuff is, like those little, knickknacks areas with the, oregano oils and all that weird stuff. And she'll go, look, I know you're bored here. Go grab something that you may like. And I'll go walking through the aisles and I'll see something and I'm like, that looks good. I wonder if I like that. So I have to go to my wife and I go, sweetie, do I like these? And she's like, what are they? And it looks at them and she goes, yeah, you like those. I'm like, okay, then we'll get those. Because I don't know. I really don't pay attention to that stuff. All I know is you put up, this is true. I don't know about other guys. You're going to have to clear me up on this one. But if my wife puts a plate in front of me, I eat the food. I don't complain about it. I don't even, she could put liver on my plate with succotash, and I will eat it and not complain.
You have no idea how much you are crushing me right now.
Well, how is this crushing? This isn't crushing. I grew up.
The fact that you're not a foodie
I'm not.
is just so hurtful.
Because my wife feeds me, and look, ladies are going to get this. I know ladies are going to get this. And they'll probably even find it a little heartwarming when I say it. This comes from my mother. When I was a kid, my mom had to teach me how to do laundry. When I was a kid, my mom had to teach me how to cook. So I had to sit in front of her in the kitchen or in the laundry room or at the laundromat, because we never had a laundry room, and I had to learn all of those things. And my mom's constant theme was, you better learn how to do this because there's no guarantee that a woman is going to do it for you. That was her mantra. Everything I had to learn was, you got to learn to do this because there's no guarantee that you will have a woman to do it for you. So I always respected that. That, look, I may not get married. I may not have a girlfriend. I may not have a live-in girlfriend. So I'm going to have to learn to take care of myself But then, when I actually got a woman to do those things, to cook for me, to do my laundry, the one thing that I never did was complain. If she used the wrong fabric softener, and I was itching afterwards because, there was some rash that I was getting for it, never say a word. And if you did, find a way to make it your fault. But never criticize a woman who is willing to do those things for you. So when my wife would come in and make me dinner, she'd come and give me a plate, she would say something like, in fact, Roseanne does it all the time. She goes, I didn't really like it, but tell me what you think. Now, I say to her every time, you're not going to get a complaint from me. She goes, yeah, but I really want your opinion. That's never going to happen. I'm going to eat this food and I'm going to enjoy it. And I do just that. And she responds by going, what did you think? It was good. She goes, you really thought it was good? I'm like, yes. Yes, I did. I don't have an opinion. Good food. You cooked. Thank you. Never look a gift horse in the mouth. You just don't. And I believe that men are really like that. I don't believe that I never in my lifetime have I ever believed that a man would sit there and nitpick about a meal that a woman prepared for him after she did. Like a real man, in my view, would never do that. Eric says, I am blatantly honest. So you would complain if it was too salty? How about you, Roland, before we go to a break? Would you complain if your wife could prepared a dinner for you that you didn't particularly like? Would you tell her, or would you keep it to yourself?
Absolutely tell her.
You would?
Absolutely. Because I can cook my own meals.
Well, so you'd run the risk of upsetting her because you can make your own food.
Well, I expect the same thing if I made something that she was like, oh, that was the last time you made it. It tasted like this and it was good, but this time it seemed like something was off. Maybe it was a little too salty or not enough salt. I don't know. So I expect that when I'm making a meal, I expect that like that 100% honesty feedback. So I give it as well, which is why I only eat certain things, because
so you do have certain food that you eat.
Yeah, I'm used to a high quality of flavor. So if it doesn't have a high quality of flavor in it, most likely I won't enjoy it.
You snob. You absolute snob. You're such a snob. Goodness gracious. Michael A. says, I usually ask her that when she drags me out shopping. I don't know. To me, in my view, I couldn't do it. I don't expect her to make 2 meals. Well, that's probably, look, my wife does all the cooking in the house, and I will never complain. And as long as, like I said, as long as I have a woman who is willing to get in that hot kitchen and cook for me, I won't complain about whatever it is. It'll never happen. It's just not my deal. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. We're going to do something a little different today. If you would like an opportunity to get a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, you can call anytime during the show. And I'll tell you in the next hour exactly how you can do it. You can win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe. We'll be back. More news, more views. And coming up very soon, Mark Fitch and Alex Appel of Connecticut Inside Investigators is going to be joining us to talk about Solomon Schechter School. All right, so stick around. We'll be back. Reese on the radio, NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
It's Reese on the radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. On NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
All right, coming up in a little bit, John Silva's got news. Jason Catarina's got weather, and Mark Christopher will be in the BPS Traffic Center to get you on the roads today. As I said earlier, Mark Fitch and Alex Appel are going to join us on the show in a little bit to talk about the Rabbi Jonathan Berger and the Solomon Schechter School and that scandal. We talked to 2 of the parents that were involved in the arrest of one of the teachers at Solomon Schechter due to unwanted tickling at the school. We'll talk about Mark Fitch and Alex Appel's long, very investigative report into what went on there and what the ramifications are going to be for Solomon Schechter and the failure to report this teacher. We'll get into that as well. Also, we'll talk about the best and worst places to raise a family 2025. That's coming up very shortly, too. And it's interesting. Connecticut is on the list, but it ain't good. It really ain't good. We'll talk about that as well. Let's get to the phones, 860-522-WTIC. Let's go to Mia in Windsor. Hello, Mia.
Hey, Reese. How are you?
Pretty good. What's going on?
So this is the first time I've ever called.
Okay.
The first time I've been compelled to call. I have to say, I am a black woman. I'm from the Bronx. I disagree with you most often.
Okay.
But this conversation about not complaining, I have to say I 100% agree with you.
What is going on, Mia? You mean
making a point that I agree with? I had to call in.
Mia, listen. This is one of those things where I know this is easy. This is low-hanging fruit because I'll tell you this. My mom, actually, when I became a teenager, my mom stopped cooking on Fridays. And we had to either order pizza or we had to fend for ourselves. And that also gave me the sense of appreciating having somebody who was willing to slave, as my mom always called it, slaving over the stove for you. So, and I think that, look, cooking, as Roland often says here, cooking is the language of love. Right?
True.
So when somebody cooks for you, it is not a good idea to crap on it.
Absolutely. And I am a person who does not cook for everybody. So if I choose to cook for you, it should be appreciated because I guarantee I will never do it again if you complain.
Well, Mia, first of all, 2 things I want to congratulate you on. One, the fact that even though you don't agree with me, you still listen to the show. That sends chills down my spine. I love every bit of it and continue to listen.
It does. I believe in listening to opposing views to find out where they're coming from and to see if there's anything that I can learn from them.
Well, Mia, do not in the future, do not be shy, because if there's something out here that I'm saying that you disagree with, I want to be challenged. That's what this show is about. It's not about agreeing with me, right? What I want people to do is to think. And if they think differently, I definitely want them to share. The second thing I want to do is I want to say, if I could, I'd like to give you a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, if I could.
Thank you.
He's in New York, though.
I do have one question for you.
What's that? Real quick.
Real quick. I wonder why it is that when men call in, you call them sir, and you say, thank you, sir, and what can I do for you, sir? But you never call women ma'am. Why is that?
Because the last time I did it, a woman lost her mind on me. I'll never forget that.
You're traumatized.
I told a woman, I said to the woman, she goes, excuse me. I said, oh, no problem, ma'am. She said, ma'am? What do I look like, an old lady? And I used to say dear a lot, and women said that was condescending.
I see. Okay, because I hear it a lot, and I'm saying, why doesn't he extend the same respect to women? It's always, thank you, sir, and I appreciate you calling, sir. I'm like, well, what about the women?
Well,
So that was one issue I took up with you.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to put you on hold, Mia. We'll make sure we get your information. And I appreciate that. Let's get our first check of the weather and traffic with Jason Katerina and Mark Christophers at the BPS Traffic Center. How are we doing, sir?
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We're back. It's Reese on the radio. As you heard the big voice say, we have got Mark Fitch and Alex Appel are on hold right now. We'll get to them in the next talk segment, and we'll talk to them about the Solomon Schechter School and a report that they did in Connecticut, Inside Investigator. You can read the story yourself. It's the lead story on the website at insideinvestigator.org. Mark Fitch, who is, pretty much, this is like the home of Mark Fitch at WTIC, and I'm very excited to talk to Alex Appel as well. I haven't spoken to her yet, but this story is one that we covered here about the abuse allegations against a teacher at the Solomon Schechter School, and apparently a long history of this going on at several schools. I think there was another case in Long Island. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. So there was a story that I'm going to sort of associate with my conversation with Mark and Alex, and that is the best and worst places to raise a family. Apparently, there's a new article that came out talking about the best and worst places. It's a place called Wallet Hub that did the story, and they put up a list of all of the places that are, best and worst. Well, the worst places showed up were Connecticut. In the 140s and 160s were New Haven and Bridgeport. Were the worst. But when I looked at that list, I said to myself, well, it's got to be, Connecticut, someplace in Connecticut that's on the best, right? On the top. No, nowhere. Bridgeport came in at 161, and that was 161 out of 182. New Haven came in at 145. There is no other Connecticut town that showed up on the list as like in, 1 through 20. Those would be the better ones. No place in Connecticut showed up. That's interesting. Anyway, let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Katerina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
And we're back right here as promised. On the phone with us is Mark Fitch and Alex Appel. How do I get them both on the? Can I do both at the same time?
Yeah, you gotta do the yellow lock in.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the yellow lock in, and then I can do. I don't even know how to do that. Okay, there it is. Got it. And there's Mark Fitch, along with. Okay, I hung up on Alex. Alex, give me a call back. I promise I will get you on the line. That's her right there. So I'm just going. Do I just pick up on Alex right now, even though I have it on there? Is that what I did? No. Hi, Alex. How are you? We'll get Mark here in a second because you're new. We'll go directly into you, and then we'll figure out how to get Mark into the call. My apologies for that. Just the first time I'm getting both on there. So we've never spoken to you before. At least I haven't spoken to you before. Alex, we'll figure out how to do this thing with Mark in a second. And if you could, Roland, should I put them on hold and you get them both on, or would that work better? Since it's kind of
to do what you're trying to do, you have to do it. Tom does it all the time. I just don't know how to.
Okay, so I need
to do it from this end.
All right, so obviously I'm not going to be able to do it this way. I may need to have to go back and forth to both of you, but I'll figure it out. One of these things will work out as it is. So, Alex, you and Mark do this article about the Solomon Schechter School, and this is about a teacher who was arrested after a long, exhaustive exchange between one, if not two, maybe possibly three parents trying to get Rabbi Jonathan Berger to act on the concerns of these parents when it involves their children. Am I accurate there so far?
Well, first, thank you for having me. And second, actually, I believe one of our sources says it could have been as many as 4 parents who had issues. But yes, you are accurate.
Okay. And from what we've learned so far about this, I mean, aside from just the arrest, but because one of the parents kept not just email exchanges between her and Rabbi Berger, but also voice recordings and conversations with the rabbi, which in essence gave the impression that the school was going to handle this in-house and through their own attorneys instead of reporting this to the proper authorities, be it DHS or the West Hartford police. Is that accurate?
So they did file a report to the proper authorities, but yes, their first instinct was to handle it in-house. And when they finally made that report, it was anonymous. And it seems like the nature of that report did not raise any concerns, even though when the same incident was reported by a different school, DCF immediately jumped on it. But yes, that's mostly accurate.
Yeah. So what I'm gathering here from this so far is that, and we're seeing this a lot. And I'll get to Mark in a second to ask him about that part about this, because he's covered this just as well as I have, and he and I have had conversations. But what I'm starting to get from this, and what we're seeing in a lot of cases involving children, not just like alleged molestation issues, but we're talking about acts of violence and things like that. We are not getting school officials to do what they're mandated to do, and that is to report these incidents to the proper authorities, be they DHS or DCF or the police department. Are we seeing, is there an uptick in that from what you're seeing, Alex, so far? Is that like sort of become commonplace now? Or are we seeing more and more reports that associate with that?
I cannot speak to that.
Okay.
As you said, Mark, this is much more of his area of expertise, but I cannot speak to that.
Okay. Let me get to Mark real quick. I'll put you on hold because we haven't figured out how to do this yet. I thought we could do a conference. My apologies. Hold on for me. Let's go to Mark Fitch, my good friend. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good, Reese. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So back to you on the question that I asked Alex. Mm-hmm. We've seen so many cases. I think it was we had Cromwell was a situation where 2 young ladies were assaulted. They believe racially assaulted, and spat upon, hit, and discriminated against. And the Cromwell school, there was no report that was made. In fact, the girls, there was a Reddit a posting by one of the girls that gained the attention of the news media, Fox 61 in particular. We're seeing this in a lot of cases where there is no so-called mandated reporting, as we are seeing in this case at Solomon Schechter. There was this sort of anonymous reporting, but not by school officials.
Yeah, and in this case with Solomon Schechter, the anonymous report came, at the behest of the mother involved. Like she was really pushing, and, the Schechter officials were basically like, well, listen, we did our own thing. We don't see any issue here. We can assure you that and we have to remember this is tickling. It wasn't,
right.
DCF, said, hey, listen, tickling doesn't rise to our standard of something that we're going to substantiate. So they didn't. And so when the school was looking into it, they're like, all right, tickling, we can't sit there and say that's a big deal. We told him to stop. Mm-hmm. But I think if you actually read the story and see that, like, this is not the first time this came up.
Right.
And when we start talking about, like, are we seeing people not, following through on their mandated reporting? Well, the teacher involved here was arrested again in April for something that had happened at another private school prior to Solomon Schechter that also involved tickling.
Right.
And it was almost the exact same story at that school, this St. Gabriel's school in Windsor, where a mother became concerned, brought her concerns to school officials, and they kept downplaying it, saying, no, it's not that big a deal, not that big a deal, not that big. And then, and finally an arrest happens, and now it becomes a big deal. I think what we're seeing and I'm seeing this kind of across the board in a variety of different ways, is that everybody is trying to protect their image, and they're trying to protect their image in ways that just is not helping. It's actually hurting their image as they try to protect it, because they're trying to downplay things that, like, if they kind of hopped to a little bit more, took it more seriously, and really set the boundaries immediately, probably wouldn't have become an issue. They probably could have nipped this in the bud really early, but
correct.
In efforts, in this social media saturated environment that we're in, these efforts to kind of keep your image whole and intact and without any kind of, check mark on it.
Yeah.
They go too far.
Yeah, this was an interesting part, because as I've been covering this story, the crisis management here was the worst I've ever seen. And you bring up a good point. You didn't go full-throated on this, but I think I made this point when I spoke to one of the mothers. In fact, both of the mothers, was that this could have been one of those things where Solomon Schechter looked like the hero by saying, oh my goodness, this is a problem, dealt with the teacher, sided with the parents, and the parents would have been that sort of, I hate to use the term, Yelp review, if you will, because they're so concerned about their image. The parents would have said, when we had concerns, Solomon Schechter had our backs. Instead, it turns into, when we had concerns, Solomon Schechter held us at bay, and in some cases, went after us.
Yeah, and I think I think this is part of the problem, is that, you're seeing, organizations, you're seeing institutions being, more reactionary to what they think is going to be the public perception of them, as opposed to what their actual, what their constituents, what their customers, what their consumers actually want and need from them. In this case, what was wanted and needed from them was, swift action. And, in this case, and one of the things I always struggle with in doing stories like this is like, okay, it was just tickling, right?
Yeah.
But why did he keep doing it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, if once a parent, as a teacher, if a parent comes to you and says, like, why are you touching my kid? I mean, that should really, kind of set off a bunch of alarm bells in an individual's mind, being like, oh God, I am looking at a potentially career devastating issue here,
right? And
to take it very seriously. And it just seems like no one took it very seriously throughout the entire process.
Mm-hmm.
And, it resulted in an arrest. I mean, the guy could get off
scot-free, sure,
free and clear, and we make no bones about that. But, at the same time, the way the institution tried to handle these issues just made it worse for them, made it harder for the parents involved. And it's just one of those things where it's like, if you had just responded quickly and appropriately and kept the parents' concerns top of mind rather than the teachers' concerns, then this probably could have all been avoided.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Alex a question, but actually I'll ask you first, and then we'll get Alex back on the line so I can follow up and get her response to this. Has anyone even thought about making the connection with stories like this that we've seen? I think that there is another story with the first select woman, Paula Francesco, with the covering up of another abuse case. That these, again, these stories are becoming more and more rampant within the state of Connecticut. I'm asking you this, and I'll go to Alex to get her take on this. Has anyone made the connection that it may not be such a good idea for legislators should be promoting sexualized books inside schools and libraries with stories like this growing within the state of Connecticut? Has anyone made that connection at all?
I haven't seen that connection made at the legislative level. I mean, obviously, the issue with what books are available in public school libraries comes up a lot in municipal and local Board of Ed meetings and things like that. And there's a few hot spots for it in Connecticut, places like Guilford and Enfield, where it's really they've been hot topics. As far as at the legislative level, there is, I believe, a bill still in the legislature that would deals with some of the alleged book banning and things like that. But I don't think anybody has drawn a line saying A goes to B in these kind of situations.
Yeah, but the way I look at it, and a lot of other parents have been talking about this, is like, look, many people see these books as the sexualizing of children, while we have a sexualizing of children problem with teachers and students. So why would I invite one not realizing that it would affect the other? You know what I mean?
No, I understand you. I understand the logic, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. That's all I want. Let me get to Alex real quick, and I'll get back to you in a second. I'm sorry I have to do it this way. Alex, same question to you. Are you seeing any of that sort of line being drawn, or can you come up with an idea or an understanding as to why there hasn't been that connection made to these books that parents have an issue with being in the school libraries, and also these sort of sexual charges or sexual in nature charges that are involving teachers or administrators with children?
So I'll agree with Mark on this. I have not seen that connection. I understand what you're saying. I've covered a few places in Connecticut where discussions of what are or are not appropriate books for students, particularly young students, have come up. But that's actually not the main concern I've heard when people talk about appropriate books. So I see what you're saying, but I have.
Am I far? I mean, okay. Well, as a journalist, do you see any am I too far off the beaten path to make a connection with these obvious, very curious things that are going on within schools between administrators or teachers and students, and then these books or this gender ideology or these conversations happening in the school, and maybe it might be a bad idea, or we're opening up, a can of worms that we may not be able to pull back from. Is it a far stretch to make that connection in your view?
I'm a reporter, not a sociologist.
Okay.
So I can't really comment on that.
Okay, fair enough. I totally appreciate it. And again, if there's anything that you'd like that I didn't touch on with Mark, what was your takeaway from reporting this story and getting, I guess, going through all the material and the report or the non-reporting of the Solomon Schechter School? What was your takeaway from that as a journalist?
I am just surprised by some of the, and you guys spoke about this too, but I'm still just surprised by some of the things that people think will cause the most damage to their reputation. They think addressing a problem, again, as you both have said, it's tickling. There are a lot of different contexts where that can seem like a nothing issue, but it does shock me reading this, especially when comparing what happened at Solomon Schechter to what happened at a few other schools. There was another Jewish school in Connecticut that had a problem, and we reference it in this story.
Yeah.
And they just handled it. They handled it completely. And it came up in our reporting because a parent said that, why can't this school do this? So I was just shocked to see how some educational institutions prioritize things. You mentioned in your promotion for this interview, there was a Solomon Schechter School in Long Island.
Yeah.
I'd like to just clarify, they don't have a shared administration. They're both a part of the conservative Judaism movement.
I gotcha.
But I don't believe the Solomon Schechter principles are speaking to each other. But it seems and at other schools in Connecticut, it's if there's a serious problem, I just don't understand. There's a serious problem or a perception of a problem, why that's not being addressed,
Right.
and why the concern is, as the title of our piece is, controlling the narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's what this was about.
so that's clear to me. Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much. Mark, thank you as well. I'm sorry I couldn't keep you on longer, but I appreciate your reporting. I promise I'll have you both back. I really appreciate you. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christophers in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah, I want to apologize to Alex and Mark. I didn't know that. Well, at least I thought that we could just merge them on, and I would have loved to have them both. I was glad to talk to both of them. And Alex, if you're listening, please come back anytime. And now that I know that you're a part of the team, as far as inside investigators, if you got a report that you want to bring to our attention, we'd love to have you on. We owe it to you. I just want to make sure that we get an opportunity to have you back on. Stupidest thing I read today coming up in a bit, but Roland, you had my biggest fear happen on the road. You had a blowout. You had a blowout.
Blowout.
Like when you drive in, like a boom. Like
boom.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Which tire?
The front passenger tire.
Okay.
I was coming back from a tournament in New Haven on Saturday.
Do you know what the cause was?
I do not know what the cause was. And all of a sudden, I'm riding. I just hear a big boom, and my car's like, boop, 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 boop. I was like, oh, man. And I'm in the left lane now.
Ooh.
So now I got to ride a mile down on that and then try to get over because they didn't have a breakdown lane where I was.
Okay.
And I could see it coming up, like a half a mile or a mile up. I could see, okay, I could get over.
So they have
to
a service lane that you could pull over to.
So I did that, and I was just thankful that I was able to not crash out or hit any cars while
was it
while
late?
I was trying to get over.
What time of the day
No, it
was
was like 3 o'clock
in the
3 p.m.
afternoon?
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Cars was zooming by me like zoom, zoom, zoom. I was like, oh man, I know I'm about to get into an accident. So I was thanking God that I didn't get in an accident.
What was your immediate reaction? You throw on the hazards?
I didn't throw on the hazards because I didn't know exactly what it was at first. So as soon as I realized, oh, it's me, it's not the road, because sometimes you'll run across the road and it'll be a little bumpy. Yeah. And once I realized it was me, then I was like, oh, I got to get this car over. Then I just put on my hazards and my blinker, and I was able to get over to the right lane and call AAA.
Okay, you called AAA. You didn't do the flat yourself?
No, I paid. What do I pay?
Well, if you're paying for AAA, you're paying probably was it like $300-400 a year?
Yeah, it's like $249.
$249. Yeah. I remember when I used to have AAA. I got USAA now, but I remember my AAA days. And I did win. So talk about how cool I am. I had AAA, and I paid for my ex-wife's AAA for about 5 years.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I paid for hers for a long time. When I got rid of it, talk about somebody who got mad. I was like, hey, I'm not going to do AAA anymore. What? What am I going to do? I'll get your own.
Yeah, so I end up getting a donut because I didn't have a real spare tire, so I put a donut on.
Oh, you on a donut now?
And I usually go to Town Fair Tire, but they were all booked for the day because, it's a Saturday.
Yeah.
So I was like looking to search and trying to find something near, and it was I found a spot in New Britain, one stop, new and used tires, and I end up driving over there on the donut because they say you're not supposed to go more than 50 miles.
That's right.
So I drove over there on the donut, and the dude over there, Vince, he took real good care of me and got my tires changed, balanced me out, and put me back on the road. So I was happy about that.
So you got a used tire, I presume.
Yeah. I got something quick, got a used tire, and then I'll think about getting, because when you go to Town Fair Tire, they want to sell you all 4 tires.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, let me ask you this: what was the price of the used tire? Can I guess, and you can tell me if I'm above or below?
Yeah. You guess. You go ahead.
$85.
It was actually cheaper than that.
No way.
Yeah.
What are you talking? What like 50?
It was in between those two.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah, Trust me,
so.
man. It's a lot more expensive over on near DC.
Yeah.
They want $85-90 for a used tire. I'm like, I get a whole new tire. You know, it's like
exactly.
$400 for.
So,
I get you $450 for new tires.
Yeah, I'll eventually go to Town Fair and get all 4 right before the bad weather starts happening. But just to get through the summer, threw that on there, and one stop, they took care of me.
Oh, well, thanks to them. Good shout. Okay. We don't do a lot of bad tires around here. I try to be very, very careful, but you know.
Yeah, you never
know out here. Apparently, you don't even know what blew out your tires. There's mysterious stuff in the road.
I'm sure I probably ran over a nail at some point, and it just blew up after that.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of the roads, let's get to weather with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, do you happen to know where there might be a lot of nails where Roland shouldn't drive?
I wish I could detect that. I'd let you all know.
The self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
I think we should start calling the WNBA the WWWNBA. It's the World Wrestling Women's National Basketball League, because I'm watching these video clips that are showing up on my X account where they are just throwing women around. It's like, ah!
Yeah, they whoop each other ass.
They like body slam. It's great, and it's all racial. It's black on white, white on black crime. Oh, and that Caitlin Clark boy, whoo! They're all gunning for her. I might start watching this train wreck for some odd reason. Before I go to the stupidest thing I read today, let's go to the guy who helped me break the story on Solomon Schechter, none other than Mark in West Hartford's on the line. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, and sometimes they're throwing men around, too. Hey, so before, I actually called about something else, but real quick on Solomon Schechter. No, I mean, little did I know it was a Friday. I don't remember which one it was, but little I know it would lead to this, and I'm happy for the mothers and potentially other people that were harmed by that. You know, they had no voice. And so I'm glad, that we were able to assist them. Because basically, you and I know this mother that you talked to, oh, my God, she spearheaded this thing.
Yeah.
And so,
And look what it led to. I mean, it went from her, a woman who was virtually ignored, to then have 3 more mothers come forward and then find out about another parent in another school entirely with the same individual.
Yeah.
So, if not for this mother, I don't think we'd ever have this story exposed.
No. And real quick, I'm still checking on Rabbi Berger. The last you and I talked about this, we talked about his response from Israel, which is he's really minimized his communication. I think he knows now it's going to get sent to me, and I'll put it up on Twitter.
Yeah.
And those of you who want to see it, go on Mark from West Hartford. But the other thing was, remember I told you they were doing a survey on his performance. And I still haven't gotten back. I'm still looking into that. And I'm also going to start communicating with all the board members. Because I'd like to get a statement from these very wealthy people who had just stayed quiet during all of this, had nothing to say. But listen, that's the way I go.
Yeah. Tell me why you called. I'm sorry.
So this is a story, and only because, and I usually don't go out of Connecticut, you know that, but my sister and my brother-in-law moved down to Myrtle Beach area about 35 years ago. I've been going almost every year since then. Then my brother followed their lead about 15 years ago or so. So I know Myrtle Beach really well. In fact, I was down there last year during Black Biker Week. Mm-hmm. And one thing is, it's almost like this dirty little secret nobody wants to talk about. We had, now not that it's not in the news at all,
right?
But it should be national news. I just hear WTIC talking about the car plowing into
in Liverpool.
Some people. But I'm there like, you have a story right here in the United States. WTIC should be covering. There were 19 people trampled Saturday night at a concert, and it's called Atlantic Beach. Right. In the same area, Little River, they had 10 people shot getting off a chartered boat.
Yeah.
And it's like you had a mass casualty incident and you had a mass shooting. They're not literally even calling it a mass shooting, even though 10 of them were shot.
Yeah, and I found that interesting.
Getting a mention.
Yeah, it's so crazy because, again, this is something we talked about, if not last week, the week before. Those incidents are never called mass shootings, and primarily when the victims are black, which... again, look, here's the deal. Politicians, you want to bring more gun control? You really want to make an argument about why we should have gun control laws? Then why are you parsing your coverage about mass shootings. Not that I'm saying that you should, like in every situation you should, but it is blatantly obvious that you will not call it that or even tweet about it when the victims are black. It's like they have to be white kids at school or white kids at an event in order for you to call it a mass shooting and then demand gun control. Black kids, immediately, there was a shooting at all black such and such, and move on. No politicians even talk about it.
And the natives to that area and the transplants, they literally hide out during this week.
Yeah.
Not that they don't do the same when the
spring
other
breakers,
Hells Angels go down there and everything. The spring breakers, you know what? They usually are harming themselves, not other people.
True.
They're the ones jumping. They're falling off the balcony because they have too many cocktails. But they're usually just harming themselves or exposing themselves. But not that they want to have that in that community. But literally, those people down there, they hide out. My sister, they stay put. They're not out and about during that week. They can't wait for it to get over.
You know what these towns need to do? Do you remember the old Westerns where you come into town and there'll be a sheriff to be sitting there right at the entrance? And it's like, before y'all come in here, y'all need to check your guns.
Here's the thing. I got to tell you, they are well staffed, but there's just nothing they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There's thousands compared to hundreds. Yeah, and they're just, it's. I don't know what's going to make it stop or curtail it. They were going to try to shut it down, but I don't know how you shut it down.
You got to ask yourself if
this for years.
I always say this. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Do the ends justify the means? Because yes, local businesses do make a lot of money from these events, but you got to ask yourself, the casualty rate, is it worth it? Because fewer people come the next time around when incidents like this show up. So that's where you are. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
You got it, boss man. Let's go to my good friend, Matt in Bristol. Hello, sir.
Hello, Mr. Hopkins.
Hello.
I don't think you're going to enjoy my conversation today with you, but...
Come on, come with it. I love it when you disagree with me, Matt. Are you kidding me? I look forward to it.
Okay, so I hope I'm wrong, but... The thing you played before, it was a while ago now. It's probably about half an hour, 45 minutes ago, about Connecticut being the worst spot to raise kids.
Okay, so this. Let me read the study. It says best and worst places to raise a family, 2025. And what it's saying is that the worst. It's a list that goes all the way down to 182. As 182 cities that are listed on there. Not every city in the country is listed. Small towns and major cities are all in there. So some of the places, like 182, what are we doing? Half of that is, I think about what I don't even know what that number turns out to be. What is it? 90, right? 90 is that. So the bottom 90 on this list, they range from Arlington, Texas, Irving, Texas, a lot of Texas stuff, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Florida, both of those, El Paso, Bakersfield, California. But the ones that were all the way down there, the only two Connecticut cities on the whole list was New Haven and Bridgeport. New Haven was at 145 and Bridgeport at 161. There is no Connecticut city in the top 90.
Yes. Again, first of all, who's making this stupid list? What are the qualifications for this list? Third of all, I've been around not just around the entire country.
Okay.
I've been around the globe. And I'm telling you right now, that is bull poop.
Tell me what. Wait. Again.
If you want, you want to tell, I'll tell you what.
Okay.
If you want to nitpick our Connecticut politics, I'm on board.
Okay.
But when it comes to people and the state and the way the people are in this state,
right?
I've been all over the entire globe, and I'm telling you right now, that's nonsense. The people in this state are some of the best people on the entire planet.
Now, first of all, I appreciate.
I know I'm a little.
You're biased. You're biased because you live here. So let me read. Let me read the paragraph or the two paragraphs here, which sets up the criteria. It says families move often for various reasons. In fact, the average American can expect to move an estimated 11.7 times in a lifetime. Moving can be a sign of opportunity, such as a new job or long-term wealth accumulation, but people may also move because of instability, such as foreclosure or job loss. During this period of significant inflation, many families might consider moving to a place with a relatively low cost of living. With families in mind, Wallet Hub compared more than 180 U.S. cities based upon 45 key metrics that consider essential family dynamics, such as the cost of housing, quality of local school and healthcare systems, and the opportunities for fun and recreation. While not perfect, given personal preferences and the limitations of public availability data, our findings will hopefully give more movers a better sense for their options. And here are the criteria. They give what the total score is, family fun rank, health and safety rank, education and childcare rank, affordability rank, and then social economic rank. The number one city to move into, according to this list, best places for family, was Fremont, California, followed by Overland Park, Kansas.
Wasn't part of this the best spot to raise a child? Isn't that what you said?
To raise a family, yes.
To raise a family. So, again, I disagree with all their criteria because... I'm sorry. Like,
I don't blame
they're not
you.
looking at Avon, Connecticut, Simsbury, Connecticut, Canton, Connecticut. Like, they're looking at the major metropolis.
That's true. Like that is
Hartford,
true.
Bridgeport, New Haven, and you know, speaking of someone that's moving to Connecticut,
yes.
Like, if Connecticut is so damn bad, then why would you want to move your children here?
First of all, I'm not moving my children there. They're grown. But I will say this. Look.
Okay.
I am a little concerned the fact that Hartford didn't even make the list, good or bad, because I don't understand why it would not. I mean, it should. If it's a bad city, it should make it should make the list.
No, because it's half and half. Hartford is half really rich and half really poor.
Right.
So it kind of equals out.
Well, I mean, look, the fact that Hartford makes the list, Hartford doesn't make the list, but Des Moines, Iowa does. Grand Prairie, Texas makes the list, but, Hartford doesn't. It just, again, does not make sense that they didn't. But I think the fact that Bridgeport and New Haven joined the list because of the fact that there's a lot of news made in those cities, and it's usually negative.
Well, again, they're probably using something like square footage per person. So, yes, if you're talking about, the size of the area compared to how many people are in that area, mm-hmm. Bridgeport might look pretty bad. New Haven might look pretty bad. But the rest of Connecticut, I know I'm a little biased, but I'm telling you, I've been everywhere.
I don't listen,
but there's got to be Connecticut because the people here are good.
But there's got to be. Here's the thing about like places like Avon or even Farmington, for that matter. Those places have to have a lot of job opportunities in them in order for people to move to them. Avon is a small town. It's a beautiful town, but it's not a place that you move to for work. Just isn't. That is a place you go for apple picking.
No, but you didn't say the study was for, if you said for work opportunities, I would not have a problem with you. You said for raising a family.
Yes.
No, you said for raising a family.
Well, you can't raise a family, Matt, without having a job to raise them. How is that not you have to make that a part of the criteria. To raise a family, you have to have a great job. I mean,
I'd rather be poor in Connecticut than rich in California. Okay?
Well, this has really got you up. Like your back is up on this.
Oh, you got me. Oh, yeah. I was so angry at you. I'm writing on the message board, and people just stop writing. Because I'm like, is no one else going to call this guy out on this? Like,
it's not. I didn't make the list, Matt.
Teed off?
I'm not in charge of the list. I don't make the news. I just report it. That's all I'm doing. But I appreciate
There's been other ones like this where they told us the best cities to live in. Everyone was a liberal city.
Yes.
let's take it with a grain of salt, okay?
Fair enough. I didn't even listen to me. When you get your back up on something, I'm always amazed, and I always end up in trouble. Remember the last time you got irritated like this? I got bike riders everywhere screaming at me. Okay?
Oh, yes. I remember about that, yeah.
Have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
You got it. Hey, look, like I said, I didn't make the list. I just reported. It's not my fault. I'm sorry. Zach says Connecticut is awful for everyone, even the generational millionaire wasps. Can we still use that term? It's white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. It's really not a slur. No concern or questions on how a Chicago resident got a gun prior to coming to D.C. to execute an illegal use of fire. Oh, I didn't even see that story, Lori. Anyway, we'll get into another check of the weather and traffic. By the way, when we come back, stupidest thing I read today, I think that Jake Tapper is actually trying to save some face. He's now calling the whole scandal Watergate. And the craziest story you ever heard about a teenager getting killed in Miami. Do not go anywhere, folks. We'll be back. Jason Caterina's got weather. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I was going to do something else, but this one, I may have to I had one stupidest thing that I was going to do, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to do this, and I can't save it for Thursday. I can't. So I'm going to do it now.
Do I look that stupid? Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Okay, stand by, folks. Ladies, gentlemen, all of you, stand by. I have to tell you that no matter what happens, if you come home because your alarm goes off and you believe that somebody has broken into your home, when you arrive at that home and you see that person coming out of your home, person that doesn't belong, somebody that you don't recognize, and you get into a confrontation with that person, please understand that no matter where you are, there isn't a person in the world who would convict you. Not one. Ever. Ever.
Relatives of 17-year-old Trayvon Johnson are angry. The teenager was shot and killed last night by a homeowner who police say was protecting her property.
He was not supposed to die like this. He had a future ahead of him. Trayvon had goals. He was a very funny guy. He was very big on education. He loved going to school. He loved learning.
Last night, Miami-Dade police say the D.A. Dorsey Technical College student burglarized a home south of 79th Street near I-95, just blocks away from where he lives. Detectives say the 54-year-old homeowner was alerted of the break-in by her security system. With officers already on their way, she rushed home to check things out, and police say she was armed.
She observed a subject exiting the home through the rear.
According to detectives, there was a confrontation and one shot was fired. Johnson was pronounced dead at the hospital.
Now, when we come back, we'll talk. 860-522-WTIC. What you do not want to miss when we come back is the neighbor's reaction to his death. You don't want to miss that. If you haven't heard it, stick around. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. Jason Caterina with weather and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Reese on the radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Drop it. All right. When we were last here, a Miami teen was killed for entering a woman's home after she got an alert on her security cam.
Relatives of 17-year-old Trayvon Johnson are angry. The teenager was shot and killed last night by a homeowner who police say was protecting her property.
He was not supposed to die like this. He had a future ahead of him. Trayvon had goals. He was a very funny guy. He was very big on education. He loved going to school. He loved learning.
Last night, Miami-Dade police say the D.A. Dorsey Technical College student burglarized a home south of 79th Street near I-95, just blocks away from where he lives. Detectives say the 54-year-old homeowner was alerted of the break-in by her security system. With officers already on their way, she rushed home to check things out, and police say she was armed.
She observed a subject exiting the home through the rear.
According to detectives, there was a confrontation and one shot was fired. Johnson was pronounced dead at the hospital. Relatives say they don't believe Johnson stole anything from the home, but detectives would not confirm that. While the investigation continues into whether the shooting was justified or not, detectives want to remind the public that if possible, it's best not to take these types of situations into your own hands.
If there's any type of situation that happens or they believe there's a burglary at their home or any type of confrontation, dial 911. Have the police go out and make that confrontation.
So they suggest, the Miami-Dade police says, that don't make the confrontation, do not have a confrontation, wait for the police to get there. They will solve it. It's a situation with a 17-year-old boy and a 54-year-old woman. They said an altercation took place, a shot was fired, and the 17-year-old was dead on arrival or died at the hospital. Now, look, I understand that there are a lot of people who want to take the Michael Dukakis approach to this. Someone's raiding your home, leave, allow them to ransack it, call the police, and let the police deal with it. But the woman arrived there. When she got this security, she raced to her home. She gets there, the kid's coming out. You don't know what he's stolen. You don't know what kind of altercation took place. She shot and she killed the kid for entering her home. You think it would have been bad enough that police officers said that she should just wait for police. But as I always say, when seconds count, the police are minutes away. We don't know the full story. But that didn't keep the neighbors for admonishing the woman who killed the boy. You may have heard one of the young ladies talking about how he had a future ahead of him. No, he didn't. And how it was wrong for him to have died. Well, they said more than that, folks. Feast your eyes on the worst thing any person has ever said on camera.
I don't care if she have her gun license, her rights, or any of that. That is way beyond the law. Way beyond.
Hey, what's wrong with her? She did not have to shoot him.
There's no reason that she should have waited until after he walked out the yard to try to shoot him.
If she called the police already, then why would she shoot him?
You have to understand, you have to look at it from every child's point of view that was raised in the hood. How he gonna get his money to have clothes to go to school? I don't care if she have her gun license, her rights, or any of that. That is way beyond the law. Way beyond.
Hey, what's wrong with her? She did not have to shoot him.
There's no reason that she should have waited until after he walked out the yard to try to shoot him.
If she called the police already, then why would she shoot him?
You have to understand, you have to look at it from every child's point of view that was raised in the hood. How he gonna get his money to have clothes to go to school?
Yeah, you heard that. You heard that. You got to understand it from the perspective of a child who grew up in the hood. How he gonna get his school clothes? So that he got to rob you, lady. You got more than him. How he's supposed to take care of himself if he ain't robbing and stealing? You got to look at it from the perspective of people in the hood. Now, I would have this would have been a part of Negro nonsense, without a doubt. I couldn't save it. I couldn't. It would be committing a crime against you if I'd have held on to this till Thursday. There's just no way. It's the most insane thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But there you have it. How is he supposed to get money so he can go to school, to get his school clothes? So the woman was supposed to say, "What are you doing in my house?" "Yo, I'm trying to get, some clothes for school, The door was open." I'm not kidding, folks. That's where we are today. 860-522-WTIC. Mike's in Plainville. How are you, Mike?
I'm telling you, I was going to comment on this Florida deal, but it's just the ignorance that I heard. I'm not even going to bother wasting my time. But I would like to make a comment about any man who criticizes his wife or his better half for preparing a meal. That's a lot of work. You're on your feet, okay? You're on your feet.
Yep.
She prepares the meal.
Yep.
Okay? I always set the table when I'm home. I've been on call. I've had on-call jobs, shift work jobs.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter what time I got home. There was always a plate waiting for me. And any man that criticizes his wife or his girlfriend
is just ignorant. It's insulting to a woman after she spends all the time to get this nice meal put together, even if it isn't quite right.
Exactly.
For your little wusses. Just say it's excellent. It's great.
It's no exactly.
I disagree.
It's no sweat off your brow to just suck it up and eat it. Because you know what?
I ain't eating nothing that's nasty.
Let me tell you something. You agree with a great point, regardless of what Roland over here is saying in my ear. The bottom line is that if you want her to do it again, you don't criticize. You say thank you, and can I have some more? Are there seconds?
It's almost like your manager telling you, giving you an order, superior giving you an order. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. But you do it a little bit different later on after he's out of the picture.
Yeah.
You know, you took care of it.
I refuse.
We don't realize how good we have it.
Exactly. That's the point right there, Mike.
That's it.
Not recognizing how good you have it. It is a privilege, my friend. Thank you, Mike. Let's go to Ralph in South Carolina. How are you, Ralph?
Hanging in there, Reese. Not for anything, Reese, but aren't there places that kid could have gone and gotten clothes like the Salvation Army? There are different entities that have a lot of clothes, and they're more than willing to give them to him.
It is the most insane thing that we've gotten to a point that someone would think that they are entitled to another person's home and their belongings. And for the neighbors to rationalize it, those two young ladies, to say it made no sense for that woman to defend herself or her property. It's insane. And again, here's the worst part, to then go so far as to say, wait for the police. Those are the same two bozos, Ralph, who would have called the police dirty, corrupt, and black boy killers, who are sitting up here saying that the homeowner should have waited for the cops. Should they have waited for the cops to kill him? Would it have been more justified then?
Reese, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Was the woman who shot the young man black or white? Do you know?
No. And that is a part of the story that I have to know because, and I will find out. I'm pretty sure there'll be some independent journalists that'll look this up and they'll find out who the woman is. But that would, because again, that would make this conversation something that the news media would glom onto. But the fact that they haven't, it may turn out that the woman was black and there's no moral authority that the news media can have on a story like that. So,
and the reason I call, Reese, if I got a minute,
real quick,
is we're watching all this stuff going on with Biden and how they hit everything.
Yeah.
And the thing that scares the hell out of me and should scare the hell out of every American with a brain is how can these people still support what they did and make excuses and lies about what happened? And they still support. I don't think
that's happening yet, Ralph. I'll tell you, there is something I'm going to talk about in the next half hour. What Jake Tapper is now revealing in that interview he did with Piers Morgan. The Democrats are up the creek without a paddle on this one, and the more they run from this conversation, the more it reveals how much damage this is being done. And I'll talk about that. There's polling data that supports exactly what I'm talking about, because I mentioned it earlier that AOC is the leader of the Democrat Party. It's what the numbers say that is the bad part. But I'll get into that later. Thanks, Ralph. I appreciate you. Real quick, before I go anywhere, I'm going to talk about this in the other half, speaking to a little bit to what Ralph just mentioned. So there's new polling data that says who is asking the question, who is the head of the Democrat Party? Now, again, polling data can sometimes spread very thin when the candidates are so good that the electorate cannot decide. So you'll poll like 1,000 people. Sometimes it's an odd number, like 1,038. And with a number like that, you will probably get somebody who is like running away with it. Or if the candidates are so good, it's razor thin. Every percentage point is like 1 point ahead or behind the other. So let me give you the four. Or is it four? Yeah, about four people who are in this poll. Who is the head of the Democrat Party? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is 1. Kamala Harris is 2. Hakeem Jeffries is 3. And Chuck Schumer is 4. The numbers are so bad. It is 10, 9, 6, and 2, respectively. Alexandria with 10. Kamala Harris with 9. Hakeem Jeffries with 6. Chuck Schumer with 2. There's only one person with a double-digit percentage at all. And if we look at that number, 6, 2 is 8, 10, 9, 18. That's it. The people who were named in that poll are the worst. They're garbage candidates, all of them. And AOC is leading the pack with 10. And their problem is with men? And the two leaders are AOC and Kamala Harris? Good luck. Let's take Craig in the car before we take a break. What's going on, Craig?
Couple of things, Mel. I'm the cook in the house.
Okay, that I know.
And I don't know what you guys are. I don't know what you guys are talking about. If I ask my wife if that dinner was good or not, she better be telling me the truth because I already know. Don't you be blowing smoke up my behind because I know that meal sucked. And if you tell me it was really good, I'm going to make it for you again tomorrow.
See, you are the only person I know of, and that shows exactly what kind of guy you are, Craig. A real man. You will turn around and make her pay for telling you a lie by making the same meal over again.
So I can handle the truth. I want the truth.
Yes, a guy.
By the way,
a guy can, Craig. Of course, a guy can handle the truth. I'm just not going to tell my wife that it was a bad meal. It's not going to happen.
Your wife is an alpha.
Yes, she
wants
is.
the truth.
I know she does.
Give her the truth. It was too salty. You know what? Next time, won't be as salty.
I'm not going to lie. She just made chicken and rice, and the rice is way over the top salty. Like I took one. I went, oh, it was bad.
There you go.
It was bad.
There you go. There you go. And look, getting back to that shooting thing.
Yeah.
I've got a Ring doorbell. If I have nobody at home, there's nobody in the house, my kids aren't there, and my Ring doorbell goes off and there's somebody breaking in the house, I am not rushing home for a shootout. I'm calling 911.
That I understand.
If I've got kids in the house and a babysitter, that's different.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
different.
I think in this case with this woman, and again, I'm only speculating here, so I have no way of knowing this. But as far as logic is concerned, I think that this woman ran home because where she lives, she felt she had no police support. And you know that old saying where, I can't really rely on the police because they're going to take their time coming into my neighborhood. So it's not so much about taking matters into her own hands. It's protecting what's hers because she can't rely on the police because they're non-responsive. If I'm speculating why she would go home as opposed to calling the police.
Look, I'm a Second Amendment concealed carry guy, and I will use that to protect life, not property. You want to run away with my 80-inch Sony widescreen? Have at it. I've got insurance for that.
Hey, like I said, I don't know about you. Even if I have insurance on it, I don't want to sit in my house with my 80-inch screen missing. I'm just not that guy. You're not going to take it. I'm sorry. I just can't deal with that. Like I'm going to sit here with it missing.
I bought my 80-inch 5 years ago. I can probably get a 100-inch now for the same money. So
Probably. Yeah, not me. I'm just not. Even if I got the insurance on it and I'm going to get it replaced, I don't want to sit there without it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, there's Craig. All right. Anyway, I got to take a break. Thank you, Craig. I'll talk to you soon. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher, who's in the BPS Traffic Center, and John Silva's got news. Hey, sir.
WTIC News Talk 1080 is celebrating 100 years on the air.
We're back. Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080. When we come back, we're going to talk about Jake Tapper, his interview with Piers Morgan, talking about the Biden scandal and his book. And I'm noticing something in this book and what Jake Tapper is doing as of late. and it's not a credibility thing. It isn't that. It's far worse, what he's trying to cover up. And we'll play that audio for you as well. Also, what was supposed to be the stupidest thing I read today, with the president of the United States going after Harvard University, which is now being exposed as nothing more than a fraud. There's a story about a woman named Francesco Gino that is making the rounds now. She has been fired, her tenure removed, because she was doing a paper, I guess this data that she was putting together for this study on dishonesty. Turned out that all the data on dishonesty was dishonest. You couldn't make this stuff up. And she has written over, I think, 140 papers of record for Harvard, which may now all be called into question. This place is a joke. It's a clown show over there. And what the president is exposing about Harvard, please take note, it's not what you think it is. This is not about Harvard. It's about all Ivy League, highbrow colleges and institutions and universities. It is about all of that. It's about elites. That's what Donald Trump is going after. Does anybody remember that Donald Trump made a promise that he was going to have a new university that anyone could go to, that he would make it for free, and it would be accredited, and no one would have to go to any of these cushy, ridiculous colleges and spend all their money to learn, 4th century Greek art? That's what he's doing. He's destroying the credibility of these universities so that there will be a real college that anyone can go to and actually learn. That's why he's doing it. He is removing the mystique and the lure of places like Harvard, Columbia, Yale, and all of them, and destroying them. So we can finally remove that elite sort of moniker away from our society. That's what it's all about. We'll get into that and much, much more when we return, plus your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. Let's get to weather and traffic with Jason Catarina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is. You know who it is.
It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Before I get the phone calls out of the way, I want to make sure that this is a short week. Well, I guess it is a short week. It's a short week for Reese on the radio. Friday, I will not be in. Have we figured out who's filling in for me on Friday yet? Are we doing the best of? What are we doing? Does anybody talk to you about that yet, Roland, at all?
I do not know.
Okay. All right.
Maybe probably gonna end up doing the best of.
Okay, so we may do the best of. Quite possible, but I will not be here on Friday. I'll be back on Monday. And I've got to go to the boys' graduation, so I'll be in the D.C. area doing that. I'll check in from time to time and stuff like that. So unfortunately, there won't be a Sunday show either. Unless I do. What I will do is maybe I'll put together a Sunday show on Thursday that it will sort of be a best of as well for the Sunday program. Just for that reason, because again, I'll be out of town, so I won't have an opportunity to record it. So again, Friday, I will not be here, and I'll be back on Monday. So I'll keep here for the rest of the week. What's today? Tuesday? So Wednesday, Thursday, and then not here on Friday. All right? So stand by for that. Let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. White Mike is back. How are you, sir? What do you have in store for me today?
Have you seen the casting news for the upcoming Harry Potter Warner Brothers television show?
If I'm right on this, and only because I don't follow it, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, is this related to the Voldemort or Dumbledore story?
No, it's the first one they did was they cast Severus Snape.
Yes.
Who was played by the much beloved Alan Rickman.
Oh, yes.
Now he's black.
Yes.
There's some African actor who's playing Snape.
Right.
Which is going to be kind of weird when Harry Potter's dad tortures him, as was supposedly in the story. Harry Potter's dad picked on him all the time.
That's right.
Now they've cast a new Harry and Ron Weasley and Hermione, and Harry looks like Harry and Weasley looks like Weasley, and Hermione looks like her last name should be Gonzalez. Some brown girl. So now when Draco Malfoy calls her a mudblood, it has an extra layer.
Oh. See, now again, this is and if I'm correct on this, the people who are putting this together are not real like fans, right? Like fanboys or fangirls of the actual work, right? I mean, it sounds like they did with the MCU.
Yeah, and I don't know how much J.K. Rowling's involved in this.
Probably
clearly she's okay with it because she's letting him do it.
Right.
And it's just funny that she's so right wing when it comes to the trans stuff.
Right.
And she's all like support women, but she has no problem bastardizing her own property. I don't want to see Black Snape. I want to see Adam Driver as Snape. Adam Driver is the perfect Snape.
Oh, talk about yes. If you were to go like, I'm assuming this is like a reworking of like the earlier Harry Potters, or is this a reworking of the stuff we've already seen?
I think it's a prequel.
A prequel, okay.
I think it's going to tie into that the series where they followed the Potter family before Harry was born. I think it's kind of a prequel. I'm not sure.
Can me ask you,
dang, dude.
Let me ask you this, because I find this interesting in the thing. I wish I could care about it, but I don't care about Harry Potter. So I've heard the news, but I'm not really all that interested. But let me ask you this, because this actually goes into this whole argument that's saying, why do we keep having to make all of the superheroes or fictional characters? Why do we have to change the race of them in order to do this and that? And the woman who was in the Fast and Furious movies, she's what's her name? Why do
Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez. I remember an interview she did on the red carpet when she talked about that and says, that doesn't make any sense. Let's just make our own Latino and our own Black heroes and represent them. Why do we have to take them? So in all of that, I want to ask this question. We're about to get a new, big movie with one of the original superheroes of all time, and that's Superman. Can someone explain to me why they have never, with the exception of that Shaquille O'Neal debauchery, they've never made Superman black? Like, why they won't touch that? Is that a bridge too far?
Well, it kind of makes sense because he was abandoned by his parents.
Oh, shut I'm not. He wasn't abandoned. He wasn't abandoned.
Yes, he was abandoned by his parents.
No.
They got rid of him. But, and there's one more. There's a Tomb Raider TV show coming out.
Yes.
On Amazon, and they've cast the new Lara Croft. And who do they cast? Sophie Turner, the chick who played Jean Grey in the later X-Men movies.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, for some reason, I'm not making her face.
She's from Game of Thrones.
Oh, from Game of Thrones. Okay.
And she is flat as blacktop. She's flat chested.
Yes, Lara Croft is supposed to be an endowed individual.
Yeah, who played her in the first movies?
Angelina Jolie.
The most attractive person on the planet at the time, with a healthy set of testicles. Do they not understand the reason that men played Tomb Raider is not just because it's a good game, but because we got to watch a hot chick in tiny shorts from behind?
They didn't. Again, I don't understand it, but again, it's like I said earlier in the show, we talked about how they're going to quote unquote attract men. This is not working for them because they don't know how to. They don't.
Dude, you let me cast these movies. I'll cast attractive chicks with big boobs and muscular butts and put them in tiny outfits, and we'll make billions of dollars. Billions.
I think these people are allergic to making billions of dollars. They're more interested in social statements than anything else.
I'm just saying, dude, no one's ever said, that girl's hot, but her boobs are too big, ever in the history of the world.
Goodbye, Mike. You're the best.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he's always got to make it uncomfortable. But you know what? It goes back to the earlier conversation at the beginning of the show. They want to attract men, but I don't know how they're going to do it. They've got no interest in men. They don't even know how to talk to them. Let me play this before we get out of here. Jake Tapper. He said something interesting. Talk about better late than never.
Joe Biden is not Richard Nixon. The hiding and the cover-up of his deterioration is not Watergate. I'm not entirely sure I agree, Jake, with that conclusion. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
The next line is it is an entirely separate scandal. It is a scandal.
Yes.
It is without question, and maybe even worse than Watergate in some ways.
Right.
Because Richard Nixon was in control of his faculties when he wasn't drinking. And, the idea that, we don't mean to exonerate. The only reason that we have the Watergate thing is there because we quote Archibald Cox, who was a Watergate investigator, talking about how powerful the presidency is and how presidents get surrounded by people who have a vested interest in keeping that president propped up. So that's the only reason we invoke Watergate, is just to make clear, it's not Watergate. Right. This is an entirely separate scandal. Maybe even worse. Maybe even worse.
Now, it's interesting that Jake Tapper's calling it maybe even worse. We'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow. But saying that maybe it's even worse is because the doors, I'm not going to use that whole, the walls are closing in on. The doors are closing on Jake Tapper and his culpability in this scandal. He is not looking good at all. So he is trying his best to get the good graces of conservative media and those who know better. He is trying to not make himself the story. There's a first. A reporter trying to keep themselves from being the story. It is unfortunate, but he is the story. Because there is documented evidence that he carried water for the Biden administration. And let me say this before we get out of here. When you hear these news media outlets talking about how the White House lied to them, I want you to take that into consideration. The White House lied to them, which lends itself to this idea. They believed the White House no matter what they said. They took the word of the White House and they were duped, which in turn means they never once had a critical thought about what the White House was telling them. They were stenographers for the administration. They didn't even have the audacity to question what they were being told. To now say that they were lied to means that they believed them outright. And then they learned that the White House lied to them. They didn't investigate. They didn't verify. They didn't even inquire. It is incumbent upon any administration to not tell you the truth if they don't wish to. You as a journalist are to assume that they are not giving you all the facts, that they are spinning. There is nothing that an administration can do to lie to you if you're doing your job, being the fourth estate, being the person that vets them. You must assume as a journalist that they're never telling you the truth. And now they're revealing exactly what it was. They believed the administration because the administration said so. And then they were duped when they found out that none of it was true. When everybody else was doing their job, and don't forget, it was the Washington Post that was doing articles that was getting covering for the president, calling the videos deep fakes, giving the White House and the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, a talking point. She stood at the podium and she said, as reported from your colleague, the Washington Post, these videos are deep fakes. Now the Washington Post is saying that they were lied to. How can both be true? You can't run interference for the administration and then say the administration lied to you. not when you were aiding and abetting. And that's all that's being revealed here. For them to say that they were lied to means that they believed every word that came out of their mouth. Why is it that it's never said that the Trump administration lied to them? Why is that never the case? No one says that the Trump administration lied to them. Right now, there's an article in the what do you call it? In Drudge Report. New York Times has a big article talking about a pardon that Donald Trump gave to the child of one of his biggest donors. Eerily similar to the Mark Rich pardon that that Bill Clinton gave because of his wife who had donated to his campaign. Yeah. Notice no one's talking about it? Notice the story's nowhere? Is there any report that says that the Trump administration lied to them? No. Nothing. So the only way the news media can be lied to is if they agree and they believe wholeheartedly. That's the whole point. And I'm sick and tired of people telling me that the story is over. It's far from. It's far from. Someone's going to jail behind this. Someone is being, we might see treason charges. If somebody signed an auto pen, if somebody implemented a policy without the president's knowledge, how can it not be? It is bigger than Watergate. You don't think that this is bigger than a break-in into a hotel to get secrets from the Democratic Party? You don't think this is bigger than that? How stupid are you? How stupid are you? An incapacitated, infirm president sitting in the White House while others are making policy for him? Unelected bureaucrats? You don't think this is a bigger scandal than a break-in at a hotel?
Weekend at Bernie's.
Word up. Weekend at Bernie's indeed. You can keep screaming and hollering that you're moving forward. Trust me, we are going to move forward. We're going to move forward with charges. That's exactly what we're going to do. And we'll accept nothing less. Nothing less. And this administration knows it. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. Don't forget, go to reasonthenradio.com. That's where we're going to be doing the chat room now. Okay? All right? And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And John Silva's got news. Jason Catarina has got weather. And Mark Christopher. He's at the BPS Traffic Center. Good night, sir.
Hey, Reese, have a great night. See you tomorrow. If you're 84 eastbound, we have a problem on the West Hartford line.
All right, sir.
Dixon Avenue looks like
Mañana
just a
it
left
is.
lane getting by right.
Yeah, hump day. We got a day game, too, so.
Oh, okay. That's right. We're going online tomorrow.
Yeah, for the first couple of few.
Okay.
Downtown
Thank you,
Hartford,
man.
westbound.
All right, man.
Hartford approaching the Bulkley Bridge.
All right, folks. Mañana. Y'all be good to each other. And thank you for joining the chat room. Okay? And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay? Y'all be good. And the White House gave them all their talking points. You sure did. All right? Y'all be good. And, yeah, that's about it. Holla, folks.